Preparing live stream. You see it?
Got it.
What does it say?
It says live for it says live for me, so we're definitely going. And it says live YouTube.
Live.
We are live. Hey.
Yeah. Oh yeah, let's start the point. This is the stall. This is what I'm talking about.
Oh, seriously?
So, let's cut it off. Cut this off. Welcome. Jesus, my own DJ. Welcome to Unapologetically She. This is your host, Bipolar Jameson, with guest host, Genevieve. Introduce yourself.
Hi. Hey, everyone. I'm Genevieve, sometimes known as Fire Gen, sometimes known as Genevieve Fire Poet. Hey, you know how the internet works. You've got to combine these things. And I'm coming to you straight from the UK. I am a poet and a spoken word artist. I do careers. I do a lot of things. Got a lot of energy. Hey, good to see you.
Oh, yeah? All right.
Yeah.
All right. That's great. How's the weather in Great Britain? I don't know what you call it. What do you...
I mean,
what do you call?
Once again, the country's got a land names. So yeah, in England/Britain/UK right now, it's surprisingly sunny. So we all think we've moved to a different country.
I heard it's like always like raining and you drink a lot of tea and there's a queen. That's about it. That's all I heard about it.
I mean, that's winter. Yeah.
Does it sum it up a little bit? I don't know.
Yeah. Well, it's spring now, so we've had a nice spring. Like we've had a lot more sun, and particularly today and yesterday, very warm, which is awesome.
Okay, so I'm really glad you're here.
Thank you.
I'm trying to get this shared on my Facebook. I don't know why I'm having technical difficulties. We're supposed to start at 8 p.m. Your time.
Hey.
We're about 30 minutes late, but anywho. This whole is a new podcast interviewing different women, mental health, life, LGBT, Black, I don't know, whatever kind of issues. Yeah. Mental health for me, because I just like, talking about being bipolar and just living the life. And I have a huge, lots of stories. Just being bipolar, it's ridiculous. Mm-hmm. Now, she can relate a little bit. A lot of people have mental health issues and we go through things.
Yes.
But I'm sure that you can relate. Anyone has mental health. So anyone can relate.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And on multitude of things, I think we probably will, because I'm on a journey at the moment to find out more about what's going on in here, so there are probably a lot of intercrashing things, but yeah, mental health, recognize it.
That's a-okay. I just think that everyone is a little bit crazy. If you're not interesting, to be honest.
That's my excuse.
That's what we're gonna go with. In the court of law, crazy is a great defense.
Absolutely. Well, I don't know how well that works in the UK. I've never checked.
Okay. You've never tried it in the UK? That's like the defense. Like I went crazy.
Yeah, I've yet to use that as an excuse. We'll see what happens. There's a lot of life ahead of me. It's definitely what's been used against me, so it's all good, huh?
Yeah, definitely. I think like the biggest part of the movement for like women empowerment is just realizing who you are authentically. It's taken me almost 40 years. I ain't going to date myself because I'm an 80s baby. I don't want to look I don't want to look old, but taken me a long way to get this way, and I'm just doing this for kicks and giggles, to be honest. I love like watching women and just learning about their journey. They're so interesting. I'm not saying men aren't,
but there is something. Sorry, honey, you carry on. No, I interrupted you. Carry on.
No, I'm just gonna leave it at that. There was nothing to add to it. I didn't want to sound misogynistic. That's what I was just like, not gonna say men aren't, but can't I say they're not? But maybe that's because I'm a lesbian. And you yourself, explain how you figured yourself as pansexual.
Yeah, okay. So my joke, and so I was with some friends recently at one of our sort of known theme parks, like it's one of the ones that everyone knows, good old Fort Park, and we were talking about it in line to one of the rides, especially one of the rides that makes you feel really, really sickly. And I sort of said, look, what I found out is I started off very much straight-ish, had a lot of different crushes and stuff like that. As I started to explore and like put myself on the dating app, took off all the sort of obvious things and all the cis normativity and heteronormativity stuff. So, like the sort of Kinsey scales and the different spectrum stuff, it was like, oh, no, apparently it keeps going. It's nope. Apparently I don't care. Now I know. But it was kind of like, I think I'd felt and realized I was bi very early. And there's some fascinating stuff some people have said about when people talk about things and you go, oh, no, it's me. Way back when in college. Here, our upper school or sort of like the way the sort of like senior parts of your schools work and our university level, there's like a bit in between, or it can be depending on the place. There was one of the girls that I used to talk to all the time, and she was telling me about her experiences of bi panic and stuff like that. And I was like, oh. And for a minute, I was like, I felt jealous. And I was, that's a weird emotion. Why jealousy? And as I said, as it's gone on, it's just been like taking out the mentality that I had to. I started to meet more and more people, and I started to realize they were the same emotions. Being pansexual is the smartest term I can think. I can see poly, I can see bi, I can see all those bits, but I think the truth of the matter is I totally get lost in someone's vibe. And it's embarrassing. That's what that is for me. So that's the label I've gone with because I think it explains it the best. And yeah, I've gone on dates with lots of different people with lots of different identities. And like, if the vibe works, we vibe. Vibe is a good word. So
that's so cool. That's so cool. Like, being pansexual, like, in case nobody knows what pansexual is, the difference between bisexual is. Bisexual is, I guess, the attraction of both sexes. Pansexual is attraction to someone regardless of their gender, right? So,
absolutely, yeah. And and obviously everyone has their own take on what different things are. So I know that a lot of people have said, now that bisexuality is being attracted to more than one gender, what that is in the sort of spectrum identity can be whatever, and it can be multiple within that, but that's kind of how a lot of people have said. For me, it's like, I've always found the bit where it says like, I'm not aware of people's gender, very similar to being like, I am colorblind. I'm like, don't know if I look with that bit, guys. That's a bit awkward. It's not that. As I said, it's just if I vibe, but I then vibe because I do. So there's a whole thing of like, is it poly then? And polysexual being like you're aware of people's genders and stuff like that, but you've got different tastes for different genders. It's not that either. It's just, as I said, if someone's goddamn beautiful, and that's where I've stopped with it. I can't explain it better than that. And different people in the part of the sexuality, I mean, what do we call ourselves at this point? That grouping have different rules on it because it's a newer way of saying it. But I think pan makes the most sense to me. And to be honest, I do like a good bit of crockery. Not gonna lie. A good old frying pan, very hot. I thought I'd get that joke out of the way.
Do you lean? Okay, so for like people who are into not into gender, do you lean?
There's not many of those, are there? That's a very small minority there. It's a lot of crazy to take on. Come on, let's be fair.
We are becoming more fluid. No, like when you brought up Kinsey, I saw the movie. Like y'all gotta check it out. It's a docudrama.
It's really good.
Check it out.
I've seen it. Brilliant.
Okay, great. So supposedly the dude created this homosexual heterosexual pH scale of where you are in terms of gayness. And he, I feel like his results are kind of like sus because he slept with his test subjects.
Yeah.
So I think they're a little biased.
Maybe just a teeny weeny bit. So yeah, like where is it on this spectrum? That's a good question. You know what? I can't give you a good answer on that. I'm only because I've been thinking about it a lot. And I do wonder how much that's all got to do with like your experiences and who were your role models and what did you see? Like, I feel like weirdly, it is everything. It is everything. I'm yet to meet all the different types of identity in the world anyway. I haven't traveled enough to do that, but the more people I've met. But what I've also noticed is like actually what is traditionally binarily attractive if you do the opposite sex thing is what I'm attracted in. So like guys who have a tendency to have softer qualities and girls who are a bit harder. So I'm actually like the flip, like a girl in a fantastic leather jacket, great boots, who is just owning herself in sunglasses. I'm gone. I'm not paying attention. Where am I going? Yeah.
So you want your men to be women and your women to be men.
This is what I've learned. And I'm like, what is this? So grateful for the people who knew that I've had a crush on them. There you go. Now you know. And now
oh my God, we should like go through who you have your crushes on. That would be so fun.
Oh my God! One, no names, no people, no actors.
No.
Oh no! Come on! Suddenly off screen. Bye. We will use fantastic storytelling techniques. We are both artists. And two, I don't want to die. This will be my last ever TV show, last ever performance if I go and this person. Come on,
Okay, so I don't know if it's related to my bipolar or my ADHD. Yeah. But lately, and I don't understand, or BPD, I don't know, I don't have a lot of embarrassment. I don't have a lot of...
That's awesome though, isn't it?
No, I think it's not good for your reputation. I mean,
do you get the Go on, hon, you say.
I mean, do you feel like it's good for your reputation? Like, if you're not embarrassed, it so goes to say, if you lose fear in certain areas, it can be dangerous. And what if I lose fear in embarrassing myself and my reputation? Then what?
Well, you know what? I generally do have a thought on this. I really love a lot of the art that goes with tarot cards. How much I believe in bits and bobs, I can't tell you really. At this point, I'm just which is another one of the things with me is when it comes to spirituality. But I do like the Fool card. It's kind of like if you're a little bit more fearless in your life and not so worried about social censure, and obviously it depends on your circumstances. Obviously, if you don't fit into the society you're in, not following what society does puts you in more danger. But also social censure can be so much that people live literally in a little tiny little box in right here, and that's all they've got. It's kind of like being able to look out and see the beautiful horizon and go, hey, I want to go off and travel, thinking about you here. I want to try different opportunities. I want to get different jobs. I want to go into the great beyond, sings Belle from Disney thing. But is a difference between doing that and just going, hey, everybody, and kind of walking off the end of the cliff like Sylvester and going, oh, whoops. There's probably a few nuances between let's go and then you just go and, hey, at least I can see something different. And I think being able to be that fearless, which is what you are, hon, has opened you up because for a start, you are known. You're somebody people look up to. You know this. You wouldn't be if what do they say? Well-behaved women rarely make history, supposedly, which I think is a bit bad because it's got that binary thing. I don't know whose quote that is, but I think that's sort of I think that still does that whole sort of pitting women against women, which I'm not into. But what is useful is if they're talking about you, hey, they're talking about you.
Yeah, right.
So it depends. But if it comes to social embarrassment, that can be great because as I said, people who can handle their social embarrassment are also some of the funniest humans. Not funny as in I'm laughing at you. It's kind of like, God, I wish I was that brave. Oh, you just said a thing I never would say. That kind of stuff,
Yeah, definitely. No, I mean, I feel that, but I have this little voice in my head, which isn't in my head, it's outside my head. It's my best friend saying, maybe you shouldn't do this, maybe you shouldn't say that. Then it puts it in my head, maybe I shouldn't. But my first, like, I used to have really bad social anxiety, so I could never do something live. I could never talk to someone from Europe
Yeah.
live, right? But now I'm like, why not? Why not tell a story about me peeing in public? Why not? Then my best friend swoops in. She flies in like the little angel she is. She's like, someone from an employment, if you want to work in accounting, may see this and they may Google your name and may frown upon your stories of peeing in public. And I'm like, oh, but what about my fetishes and all my kink scenes? She's like, no, don't take this off, make this private. Don't make this public. So then I shut everything down. You're like, all right, I guess, I don't know.
It's out there.
I know. I mean, once it's out there, I realize it's out there, but I honestly don't care. In my eyes, I feel like if the place isn't willing to to hire me as a real live woman with all sorts of things, right?
Absolutely.
Then fuck them and fuck society. I would like to say I'm anti-society, but then that's the definition is antisocial, which is also known as a sociopath, and I'm not that. But it is what it is.
It is, and but you also like stand for those who get ignored by society often. I mean, when you're doing your Facebook lives and you're talking about stuff, I think the difference is, so you were saying like with with the questions stuff. The fact is for me, and it's literally a massive phobia I have. I never want an action that I did, or I try not to, an action that I did without thinking to end up hurting somebody else. So it's almost like, oh yeah, I'll say something really crazy and angry at this particular person who looks like they're going to punch, and then I'll move out the way and my friend ends up taking it. I think you can do that in social situations too. It's like, I'm not the only person involved in this situation. It may be, oh, well, I'm cool, I'm fearless about it, but actually it really hurts someone. Those are things that keep me up at night. Shit, like, oh my God, what was that like for that person? Wish I'd thought of that sooner. So that's when I become conscious of those things. But like, when it comes to the rules that hold us all down, and both of us are women of color, and I mean, in my case, I'm direct mixed background, white dad, black mum, so straight down the middle. Like, there are rules put on us that aren't freaking fair, and expectations human could meet. And after a while, I think you do get rebellious because you're like, who says I have to? They get away with it. The fuck? No, I want to get away with stuff. No, joking. I want the same grace. I want the same opportunities. Thanks. And that does mean sometimes you've got to break literal law books in half and stuff. And I'm all in for that. So is it anti-social? Is it anti-establishment? I think that's what you are, isn't it?
Exactly.
There we go. There you go.
But do you like, I feel like half the time I'm upset with myself because I want to boycott everything and take everything on in the world. And I feel like we're the biggest hypocrites. Like, everyone's a hypocrite. And it makes me sad inside and die. But I feel we're all hypocrites. But what you take on is what you take on. You can't take on everything. Otherwise, you'd be, I don't know. You wouldn't have anything.
Oh, no, like,
where the hell would you, like, I boycotted Chick-fil-A for like the longest time because of why? LGBT, they came out publicly saying they were against LGBT. And I was like, I'm not going to eat chicken. And then I was like, damn, their food is so good. And I was like, okay.
Oh yeah, like when the crowd, particularly like what social media allows, like I'm a bit I have this thing, I don't know if you're the same, like sometimes I think a lot of things thrown at social media as if it's some sort of literal god, and it's like, nah, we always did this. You can just see it and record it now and go, oh, look, that's what you did 2 days ago. Proof.
Exactly.
Come on.
Look, and they say like, okay, so they say like, okay, racist people will say racist things. I get it. There was a time where people were racist, and maybe they maybe they changed their life away, but they're getting people from stuff they said when they were 18.
Yeah.
Paula Dean, Roseanne, like if you said something and well, you know, you still mean it, there's a difference between something you've changed from. And you know, I think it's important to realize that we're ever changing and we're ever growing. And like, I'm not gonna fault someone for being racist. Thomas Jefferson owned slaves. I mean, Dr. Seuss was racist. His books were racist, but I like his books. So those are things you just gotta keep in perspective.
Absolutely.
Like,
and go for it, hon. Sorry,
go ahead. Cut in, girl. Cut in. I could talk today.
No, but that's the thing. Like, this is what I love as well. We've got a really good balance going. Like, sort of diatribe, and sort of thing. So I'm like, finish your point, nail it home. But it's true. Like, I think what's useful, and I definitely in life experience I've had this, and it's definitely affected my mental health stuff, is where punishing a person over every discretion I don't think helps. I think it can become a very easy way to kind of any vileness that one has in itself to go, okay, I'm going to attack it this way. But also, like, it's about what are they doing to develop? Are they saying sorry because they've got caught out? Are they saying sorry because they're growing? Are they saying sorry because they're starting to just realize and go, they said in the middle of the night, what was that for that person? But also we are in this is the reason why sometimes I stand for social media, stand for stuff like this, you know, where are we hearing the voices and are they actually getting signaled and acted and put out in the world? Because if they're not, I'm not saying people get to be a free ignorance card off the Monopoly deck. It's like, hey, I can just be ignorant now, it's fine. No, but it does help that we're challenging and stuff. And what I get really, really, really violently angry about, or you can get quite pissy, let's put it this way, is when people go, oh, the youth. I'm like, hey, in 10 years, young people right now have completely flipped the conversation. I am proud of them. They have completely swung it around and made people go, oh, was the thing I was saying really mean? Think about what you just said. Yeah, I guess it is. But that person was an unperson, so I get away with it. When they're not an unperson, they got a Twitter account too. Bye. They've got a broadcasting contract. And still you get it. You know, we've just had a new Doctor Who announced. The Bull that's come out. And you're like, you've not even seen him do anything. Seriously, how much hate can you carry in a body? He's not done anything yet.
Exactly. Exactly. And it's, I think it's understanding people, like people are not perfect. Meeting people halfway. I like this, and I posted on my page one day. It was about this Black. He was, I think it was from the 80s or 90s. It was during Black Panther time and big, strong civil rights, and people was doing stuff. But so he was interviewing, he's a Black interviewer, and he was famous. He started interviewing, and I tell people this story all the time, the Ku Klux Klan. Right. Wasn't really a good fan. No one was a fan of him doing this at all. People in the civil rights, like, you need to stop talking to them like they're people. We need to not even learn about them. But as he went by and he interviewed these people, he learned their perspective. He started like going to their functions and stuff. And like, he engaged in such conversation. It goes down to just having conversation, civil conversation. He actually changed people's perspectives. And some of them left the Klan. So meeting your enemies where they are is the biggest lesson, I think.
It takes some serious armor. And you know what? This is the thing. The more invisible the part, because, you know, we started this chat on mental health, the more invisible that part of your identity is, the harder it is to get people to understand that they're unpeopling you. But it's one of my favorite terms. I'm legit working on a poem about it. It's so easy to unpeople a person. And I even like today, I won't go into like too much, but connecting with some folks and those who share bloodlines, and we were talking about like different people, and the way that person we were talking about was being unpeopled, because there's a bit of information, a line of diagnosis or a thing of their background or this of their trauma they don't know. So that person's a caricature. And I once had a wonderful conversation with, and I will say the name because I love him dear, my friend Mike has been my mate for so long, and it doesn't feel like that, because I'm like, oh, we were mates back in college. I'm like, oh, wait, how long ago was college? Oh boy, I need to sort my life. But we were talking about it, and he said, like, oh, you got this energy and all the rest of it. And I said, you know what I hadn't ever thought about? My sister talked about it, and I talked to him about it, was growing up where I grew up, looking the way I look, and I always do the hand and go, remember the hand. The hyperactivity, there is no shadow I could ever hide in and be clique respected. And it was literally something that Mike kind of mentioned. He was like, oh, a lot of people kind of hide in the shadows. Like, where was my shadow? I was one of 5 kids lighter, darker than a certain lightness. I was lively. I put my hand up a lot just because I wanted to be involved in the conversation. I couldn't grow my hair like the other girls. And I definitely don't behave like them. I'm very sort of, there's nowhere that I could hide. So I had to be bright and big and energetic and just more of what was already there, because that was the only way I could defend myself. That's the only way, being the brightest, the energy. And it's weird now going back and going, how much of that is just me? How much of that is survival? And you know what? I don't care, because here I am doing this with you right now. What an opportunity.
Exactly. And I can relate as being a person of color, growing up in a Caucasian predominantly area, and I had to speak the part. My mom was like, you can't talk like that. You need to correct. She always corrected me. So I had to speak more vernacularly. I can't even see, I gotten lazy with it. But my mom was really in part on me that I had to not act Black. But the white people are always into me because she old school. She been about it. So I had to, I learned from an early age, and it goes back to that test with the dolls, I learned to hate my hair. I learned to hate my skin, my color. It was all of it. I just didn't like myself, my appearance, because of that. And because the majority of mainstream everything is it was a lot of Caucasian. It was a lot of, that's what's beautiful. And I think it goes back to that test. Everyone knows that test, so hopefully.
Oh yeah, absolutely. What doll does the child get drawn to? You know what's funny, and this is why I love having these conversations. And I totes want to talk to you near the end, because, like I said, both of us being riders, we've got to throw a bit in. If you're up for it, if you're up for it, let's let the world hear what we got. But what I was going to say is, I've been thinking about this a lot as something. I don't know if it's an article or if it's a poem. It feels a bit long for a poem. About there's a difference between Black as community and Black as a synonym. And I think Black as a synonym is what I grew up with. So Black meaning urban, Black meaning like this, is what they meant. And for me, I was and one of the things I feel very lucky about is my parents never made me feel bad about skin tone. Actually, they were very celebratory. They said mixed race couple, worked together very much on that. And I think that was just in their nature. I don't think that was a kind of parenting plan, which meant I at least walked into school with not that image. I didn't understand for the life of me why they didn't like me and had to say these sort of things at me and all the rest of it. What it was more was actually what we're finding out to be neurodiverse behaviors was what was really causing things like, Jen, shut up. That's too loud. That's too much energy. So those are the kind of things. It's like being a bad, graceful girl was what I tend to get pulled up on until I got into the community, and then the racism came. Outside of my own door, inside my door, it was fine. But what was interesting for me as well is that it was actually celebrated. And so because it was celebrated, we celebrated the African part and the English part simultaneously. I had a weirder experience. And I remember even being quite little and having myself see people be racist to me and say stuff. And I was like, I could see the hypocrisy that little. And I was like, it's not like you look better. Sorry, when did you last brush your hair? You generally think just on a baseline you're more attractive. What? I didn't get it. It was like completely alien to me why anyone would think that. I just thought they were weird. But I think because it wasn't supported at home. Had it been, I think my perspective would have been very different. Very, very different. But that's one thing I am grateful for.
That's very interesting that women from thousands of miles can have the same experience with growing up in the same kind of, even with progressive Europe, you can still have the same feelings about being Black, and it's really hard, and I think we're just still, to this day, it seems that although people say racism doesn't exist, it does, and we know.
Yeah.
And people will say affirmative action, they're giving jobs away, blah, blah, blah. Or what about those Mexicans? They take the jobs that we have.
Yeah.
Kill that.
And the grand irony is here where, the types and splits and stuff, they do that both for people of color, but also people who are just other Europeans. And that's always just really fascinating. So you see the hypocrisy of hate and what is that synonym meant to cover? They are this when I'm saying this. But when you look at somebody's life and you go, I think they've got a little bit more on you than you do. And the whole thing, like I've heard multiple times, like Shay Coulee is the person I've heard most talk about it, of like working twice as hard for half the credit. That I think goes to a lot of international waters. A lot of international. It's like you had to be freaking perfect for sometimes, and it's exhausting.
Yeah, women get half the stick of anything.
Yeah.
Even with everything granted, I was like thinking in my head in elementary school, I was just laying there watching the news with my mother, hence why I have general anxiety disorder. I was thinking the worst thing possible I could ever be in life was a Black woman who was gay. And then now I add on to that as non-conforming to gender and with mental health and not neurodivergences. I mean, I got the best stick in the world.
You got to hit the bingo pretty hard, babe.
I did. I have a shit list of things to be hated on and discriminated against. And I don't really care anymore, to be honest. I my goal was the big old fancy house with the 2.5 kids, the cars, clothes, and whatever. But with my breakdown, I had a nervous breakdown about 3 years ago. This is not important to me. I mean, retirement, F retirement. I mean, where are they going to put me, in a home? What if I get demented? I won't even know. Like, what is the point of saving all this money? YOLO. I mean, mindfulness. Like, I need to live in the now. I need to stop worrying about this dream. This dream may never come. I live the dream today. That's where it is. That's what I say.
You're literally in a brand new episode for a brand new show. That is already a bit. And this is, hey, I tell you what, here's a thing for good mindfulness. And I get that. Do you know Manju from the sort of like rock poetry and VPR? She does great mindfulness and mental health advocacy, but also she posts regularly. And it's like, I can't remember what she put once, where she was sort of talking about how you can choose to see your life as an adventure. And I mean, I'm relatively agoraphobic in my own flat sometimes. I think I do get a bit sort of stuck in here and I get used to everything. And I'm learning that, as I said, attached to neurodiversity more than anything else. But it is like, it's kind of fun to treat every tiny thing as an adventure. Yeah. And actually then suddenly gratefulness is really easy. Because another thing I really, really truly believe is, I think gratefulness is brilliant. I do think the person gets to choose what they're grateful for, because I think there's so much where it's like, be grateful for your family. Your family could have sucked, like heavily sucked. Lucky, one are pretty good. You be grateful for your community. Your community could be racist to you. Be grateful for, your thing of mind. I'm currently struggling with my mental health. It's like, don't tell people what to be grateful for. That's being dogmatic. Say, hey, what in your life makes you feel I can get up today and I'm feeling good because I remember I've got this friend in my life, or I'm really grateful for my partner, or hey, I found out something about myself and I feel pretty good because actually, yeah, now I know what that is. That's the stuff that you choose, not them. You choose.
Exactly. Feeling gratefulness about whatever it is whatever it is. And after my breakdown 3 years ago, it gave me a completely 360 approach to life. I stopped focusing on the negativity. I stopped focusing on the negative thoughts. I started focusing on the positive thoughts and restarting over and new beginnings and just everything, just the nature of things, just something so minuscule as a beautiful flower or something that I just took for granted or someone I took for granted and just everything. Right? How do you get that perspective? I had an aha moment. And it's changed my life significantly. Do I regret that I lost 8 kids, a fiance, all my possessions, my my animals? I could go on a list of everything I lost. Do I regret those things? Yes. Could it have happened without having such a detrimental experience? Possibly, yeah. Maybe not as quickly, but yeah, definitely. Or maybe not at all. But without that experience, I would not have found myself, my own happiness.
Absolutely right. And you glow with it. You glow with it. As I said, you do. Oh God, I've noticed this as well. I squeak and it's like my dog can hit. Yeah. Look, I missed my calling. I should have been a voiceover actor for very high voiced things. Hi, Minnie. It's disturbing when you look at where it's coming from. Let's not do that. Oh, God.
I love people who makes my energy looks cool. My energy is outrageous. So when I meet other people that have similar, it's like.
I mean, I like that, but I also felt a bit like a reed. So I'm like, all right, get your fan out. No, I mean, I accept. I'm growing to accept it. And as I said, what does it lead to? It leads to a mate gives a shout and says, hey, can you dive on something? I'm like, I'll put on a dress. Let's go. And so much of life has been like that. And that's why some of the great adventures have come from. But rolling on back, what was my point? Yeah, I've seen that in you because obviously I've jumped in a couple of times on your Facebook lives. Often it's been like, I'm taking a tea break and it's just timely. But I mean, girl, I don't say those things to you to be nice. And this is one of the t-shirts I want for my next birthday. I just want a t-shirt that says, I'm not being nice to you. I'm telling you my truth. Because everyone thinks I'm really complimentary. No, it's just I for all the randomness and the high energy that comes with, as I said, my combination of things in this. One of the things I am happy about and it makes me generally grateful and happy is I see so much beauty in the world, in people, in things, in random occurrences, and it all goes into. And I'm still on the road of being absolutely sure, but they're pretty sure that I've got autism. And I've never felt happier. And weirdly, when I got the initial, I suddenly felt beautiful. I can't explain it. And I hope that doesn't sound ableist to some of the other people in the community or strange, but it just, for me, it just something else in the slot went in. And I was like, I feel more whole. Just that. But I know, and beauty is when I see my friend going, why are we doing it on a live? And I'm like, I'm just going to back you up, girl. Here I am, sending you messages because I'm like, that's your fire. That's who you are. And you've done some incredible things and experienced and survived incredible things because of that fire. And it makes me so proud of you. We've never physically met, but hey, I feel close.
It just means I need to go to Europe. But yes! I appreciate that. And, that's why I do live blogs, to just show people the experiences of living with a mood disorder. And your mood's always going to be, well, for me, it changes a lot, sometimes day to day, but, sometimes hour to hour. But I have so many diagnoses. You could spell the ABCs with me. That's all I just say is. I have ADHD, you just give me all the alphabets and that's but I really think that people who are neurodivergent are very interesting, Life makes things so interesting in the people you meet, and I appreciate, like, I understand, like, knowing more about yourself is definitely empowering. So I
Yeah.
can totally understand, and explanations on why maybe you didn't fit in, maybe you're a
Yeah.
little different. Just knowing maybe there's a name for it might give you some solace
Yeah.
and some solidarity, to find others, So
Absolutely.
that's
So
dope, I commend you for accepting that you are on the spectrum. And I know plenty of people that are on the ASD spectrum. And it's a diagnosis that people are finding out more about themselves and learning more
yes.
and coming out, especially for women. It's hard to get diagnosed with high learning, like higher.
Yeah. It's weird. I've got to ask you this as well. Like, Jeremy, do you find yourself being a massive ruminator? So like you can get lost in like a load of thought about all sorts of stuff. And it's not always like negative rumination. It's not always like, oh God, why did I do that? Or sometimes it's just like, I have this big philosophy podcast in my head. If I could do that as a live, it would be fascinating. So one of my ruminations, I do it when I drive. Like I don't daydream, I swear. I always be like, but is how much there's too much expectation on AFAB people. So to be sort of graceful and perfect so of course it's like, oh no, she can't be that. She's just failing on woman. And you're like, bitch, please. Bitch, please. And forget if you then find out that you don't vibe with what you were assigned, and then it's probably even freaking more difficult. And I wish I could say more about it. It's not lived experience for me, but it's like, I think because the people doing that research had such a narrow view about what they'd allow, then of course they didn't see it. They just blinded sighted themselves, pissing me off.
Mm-hmm.
It really does. But hey, we are where we are now.
I know. And the funny thing is, although I am a Black person, I find it hard to relate to other people of color sometimes because I'm not, like you said, those stereotypes. I'm not like urban. I'm not saying that a lot of Black people are, but I find like my energy level, is just a little intense for people of color, like are just more laid back in terms of some things. And I'm not going to like generalize and stereotype Black people, but just my experience in Baltimore, it was really hard fitting in. And in Baltimore, in case anybody didn't know worldwide, is a mecca, urban thug, like straight up. These women are fierce. Like they are very intimidating, and I get intimidated by Black women, and I don't get intimidated so much by Black men, but in the scheme of things, Black women are very intimidating, and they don't get me. They think I've been called goofy, I've been called Oreo, I've been called white talking white. Like when I first got to Baltimore, people call me like, I remind them of someone named Ducky, who was like this person who was crazy. And I'm like, they started calling me, I was like, don't call me that. I'm not that person. And they just didn't take me seriously because in the Black dom stud scene, which is like this whole urban LGBT, you had to be hardcore as a stud, and I'm a soft stud in case people didn't know. And so like these people were carrying knives. They was talking about, I was like, okay, I'm from Montgomery County, this urban suburban area, and it's like I didn't fit in very well when I first got to Baltimore. And then I had to find my way in my crew. And my crew tended to be Caucasian people, but playing sports was mainly my crew and LGBT women. And they were mostly Caucasian, Asian, and different. And it was really hard. To this day, I don't really have a lot of Black friends, which is unfortunate. You are one.
Hey! You say my Black friend, I'll feel it. I did. That's an old joke for me. I'm like, oh God, I did that once. That was really bad. A friend who I'd met through doing theatre, she had a fantastic set. It's still legitimately one of my favorite comedy shows ever. And there was a joke about that. And at the end, where she was like, because she played loads of different characters in this sort of like community. That was kind of like the storyline. And one of the characters used a whole sort of black friend thing. And so we got to the end of the show, caught up, had drinks, and the rest of it. And I said, when you said that, the urge to put my hand up was so high. And I was like, I couldn't interrupt the show because it was so good. And she's like, I kind of wish you had, but also I'm really glad you didn't. I was like, nah. But this is my problem. I don't know if you have it. I definitely have this issue because of my dad being a big dad joker and my family having lots of sarky. We've got quite a sarky dinner table. We all go, and joke about stuff. We all kind of, we're quite jokey. I forget that doesn't translate to other people's families. So sometimes when people like send me a line, I have to bat it home. The amount of times when I was growing up, because I was born in a place called Plymouth, which is by the sea. And it's like, with the UK, and it's kind of got like a foot, it's towards the foot direction. And people would immediately assume I couldn't have possibly been born in this country. We've moved along from all of that. But at the time when I was kind of getting into my 20s and people kept asking, I used to mess with them so bad. I was like, so it's this seaside town and it's known for like bringing in a lot of the deliveries and, it's got sort of community, it's got a bit about this, but, and they'd be like, oh gosh, where is this? And we're getting Timbuktu, Malaysia. And I'd be like, Plymouth. And they go, and I'd be like, you assumed, I batted it home. Don't assume things. But also, why are you asking? You're not migration. Because I don't know, you're my passport, piss off. But that's the thing. So a lot of the times when people have like said stuff and I'm like, do I say, I've had people literally go, Jen, behave yourself. Because no, I can't help it. I'm a pixie, hyperactive human being. I have the opportunity to tease people. I will take it. So yeah, I had to do the black friend just then. But yes, you are one of, I don't know, I hate the idea of numbers. You're one of quite a few, but also like, I just believe in having as many diverse friendships as possible because otherwise, how do you learn?
It's true. And I don't go out to not have black friends. It just happens to be, I don't know. It just happens to be life. I mean, I guess I don't know. Like it just happens that way. So yeah, I like diverse people. Oh, and I like the most diverse people. I like people who are former addicts. I like homeless people who are former homeless people. I like talking to, the people where it's, people might not even associate. We don't want to talk to criminals and stuff like that. I'm like, why not? Bet they have interesting stories. And I'd be like, hi to China. It's like, I don't even have China. I know.
And this is the thing, the universalness when you speak to lots of different people and you see the thing. One of my favorite stories, and once again, I can't remember if I can remember, I'll say, but it was a lady who was working in one of the sort of classic refugee sort of camp situations, and she'd learned enough of the language to be able to do translational work, and she was offering mental health. This is like a story I remember hearing on the radio, and I was like, this is amazing. And so she was offering mental health services to people to try and support and do bits and bobs, and she was expecting to talk a lot about what the experience was, and they did as well. But she said the amount of times I had like teenage girls come and go, I really like him from over there, but I can't talk to him. What do I do? And she's like, yeah, experience is really universal. We all have so many things that if you take away an expectation of what that looks like for a person, you suddenly go, do you know da-da-da? I do. How do you know them? Oh, I work with them. Mm-hmm. I was their probation officer. Well, not really allowed to do it then, but you know what I mean? Like I think we forget how widely we actually exist in the world. And it's something I'm working on. I said, reading Manju stuff, reading a few of the different friends stuff, making me really think about it, like how you can own that actually you are in a space regardless. Not like own your space so much as you are in space, you might as well own it. That's so cool. Anyway, I rambled there. There you go.
Yeah, I always ramble, girl. That's how I do it when I talk, But yeah, I mean, I'm all about, I want to meet as many people in my life. And I learned so much by meeting so many different people from different countries. I can't even explain how much I've learned about myself during this journey. And everyone's
Absolutely.
part of your journey. I feel like you're all interconnected. You know, what do they say? We know someone through three people.
Yeah, 6 degrees of separation, isn't it? Or it could be even less now, actually. Realistically, three probably is likely with, like you said, social media. Isn't it crazy?
Yeah, like I want to know who I know, so I can meet Beyonce, because I'm trying to meet her. She's PHA. I would love to meet her. So if y'all know Beyonce, hit me up, my friend.
Yeah, so quick, DM me. I'll just get this done. Oh my god!
I know. I've tried to. I've really tried to be her, but I'm not like. Although I may be impressed with celebrities, will I actually really know a celebrity if I saw one? Probably not. I'm not good at it, but I feel like people are all people. I would be kind of awestruck, but I mean, I just would like to just make friends. It was just interesting, and I like that's my whole spiel in life is like to affect change and do what I can. So I'm thinking that I want to be. I want to be like. I want to be a social worker. I want to help people. Now, how many people want to help people?
True.
There was this episode. Did you ever watch Friends?
Yeah. It was never like my super favorite show, but go. I'm listening.
Remember the episode where Phoebe was like, no one wants to truly help people without selfish reasons?
I do remember that episode.
Gets stung by a bee, and they said, and she was like, there, that's it. Like she went through all these scenarios. And she's like, I let this bee sting me. And they're like, girl, the bee died. And she like breaks it. I was like,
oh my gosh, yes.
Oh my god. Crazy. I was like, do we have truly unselfish motives behind any of our intentions? No, because they make us feel good. We like to feel good.
Absolutely.
Like, we have to look in things in perspective. It's not always black and white.
Yeah.
Walmart is a terrible company, but it's cheap and it's right next door to me, and I go shopping there. Do I like to support it? No. Do I like to work for a corporation? No. But what can I do with the money that I make?
Yes, exactly.
What can I make with this life?
Yeah, 100%. And also, like, I always feel like, well, it's sort of like, there's no such thing as a unselfish action. I was sort of like, even if it was possible to be a completely unselfish action, so who are you actually trying to impress? Because it's not necessarily the person you're helping. They need your help. Is it up above? Are you trying to make sure that up above is happy? I'm pretty sure they're happy that you're helping. So, the fact is what the real question is, because I love this sort of stuff of philosophy. Like, are people asking the right question? It's not, is there such a thing as an unselfish act? Is, are you sure what you're doing is definitely actually for their support as well? Or what does tend to happen often, and we know this, is utilizing people and exploiting them sometimes to make oneself look great. That's different thing. That's a different thing.
That's like the companies that pay. Yeah. They donate maybe $1,000, but then how much money do they pay in publicity? Millions. Absolutely. What is the point of doing that?
Yeah. When you've got the situation of like, we've donated this for this people because they are, once again, unpeople, but your own staff are so close to the same place. Interesting. You're moving money to not help with interesting. So absolutely. And that's a thing I think we can get tied on the wrong kind of question, because it's not about the ego boosting quality so much. It's great if it does. It's about that person needed your help.
Right.
That person needed your help.
Right. And what are you willing to give up to help? Are you only willing to be there when it's convenient?
Yeah.
Are you willing? Those are so many different things. And I think all of those different answers do not make you a bad person per se. All of those are, like I said, in perspective, make you human. As a human, as a species, the human species, we are selfish. And I liked in this one group, they were saying, like, this guy, at first, I was a little offended by it. I was like, whatever. But then I thought about the words, like, this person was saying, and I think I was offended because I am a little misogynistic, but because it came from a man, but he was saying, I'm tired of people calling everybody narcissistic. And if they're in a relationship, calling them narcissistic. And he basically said that it is a diagnosis and it's in the DSM-5, and rarely people get diagnosed with it. And I'm like, you know what? You're true. And he was like, people are selfish. People are just plain old selfish. And I was like, you wouldn't like being called bipolar if you're not bipolar. You know what I mean? Like making those, you're acting very bipolar. Like, I get it now. We are in this day and age using narcissistic as like when we used 10 years ago, this person's bipolar. Like when we were doing that.
Absolutely.
We are.
Absolutely. And I, oh God, I saw, and I remember this post, I saw it and I think it's fantastic. I remember once I went on a date with somebody who actually ended up being one of my dearest friends as it happened. And after we'd finished, it was like, I knew at that point when I was learning about stuff that hadn't vibed at that point. And I equally particularly felt from that person that the vibe wasn't there. And actually, cool. But what was interesting is I ended up writing about it the literally next day. And I thought, right, what am I going to say about this? Am I going to be all like, oh, it didn't work out, I made all the wrong choices? Or, and this is what I end up writing, and I love this line, I want to give it to you. In the case that person was male, so we'll say it this way, I kissed somebody else's prince, because everyone's love stories need to be absolutely perfect and beautifully virginal, and you never make any mistakes, and you never kiss the wrong kind of people. No, I kissed somebody else's prince. He ain't a frog. He's one of my dearest friends. He's a prince. He's an amazing person. He's just not meant to be with me. That is some of the maturity I wish more people had. And as you said, like if the relationship breaks down, they're a narcissist and they're deal with your shit. Deal with your shit. And then review the relationship.
Yeah. You know, some people just get offended of people dropping the word narcissistic. It just doesn't work out. You know, just because someone doesn't do something you don't want them to do doesn't mean they're narcissistic. It just means they don't care. You know, like there are some things like that people do that are upsetting, doesn't make them narcissistic.
No, exactly.
No. But I mean, if you want to throw that word out to piss people off, go ahead and say. But some people might get offended. Like, you know, I've been called narcissistic. So I had to Google it. I was like, no, I don't meet the criteria, but thank you.
Oh, I love that as a response. Yes. Talk about a line. I was getting an applause.
Well, look, it's 3 out of 5 for you.
Oh, Mike. Actually, here we go.
Yeah.
Love it.
Well, you know, I just want to say it was lovely having you for this power hour.
It was amazing.
So many different areas of subject we went through. This is what neurodivergent does.
Yeah.
But it was definitely cool to have you on as my first guest. Co-host guest. Yeah. I hope more time. I appreciate it.
It was a massive pleasure. I actually feel really inspired and enlightened and like good, really. I think I should.
Me too. I feel like a therapy session.
We see, and that's the thing, when you're sharing and you're listening, actually you get some spoons back. Like I'm feeling good. Exactly. But Faye, it's always a legit, and I say this, you know, this is not me being media perfect, it's true. It's always a legit pleasure to hang out with you, hun. So I'm just really happy that we got to hang out. If other people watch,
so
it's true. I'm not.
And the thing is,
see,
always creatively here for me. This is what I'm talking about.
This is why I need that T-shirt. I ain't being nice to you. I'm just being true. There you go.
You know what? Get yourself a cricket, and you can make your own T-shirts.
You can be an idea. I'm now going to be looking that up. Okay.
On your Christmas list from your folks.
I'm on it. I'm in it. You are a legend as a host. I can't wait to see more episodes as well.
Oh yeah. And I just want to say, my sister circles, we're doing a plug anything you want, but my sister circle is a group for mental health for women and mental wellness. So people who do not have mental health problems, but do have mental wellness, come join. And So I'm hoping to get out a poetry group.
Mhm.
Another group, we had a great small, but it was a really rewarding experience. And
Absolutely.
I have someone else is interested, and I think that we should do another one in May. So I'm gonna hit
Yes.
you up with that. And definitely people come to check out the next episode. I hope Genevieve will come in, be a guest host. We'll get her maybe in third or fourth. Who knows?
Ooh,
Bring your
great.
friend.
I got it on. Got on. May I quickly plug 2 things then, my dear?
Go ahead. Hit it
Thank
up.
you. Here we go. So first off, my Instagram, Genevieve Fire Poet. I literally write on the daily. It's a way of getting some of this energy to drop on down. That is where my work is, and I've been linked to some really interesting people. And it's a half plug. There is a new project happening with me and a friend, which I'm hoping to put more out about soon. So literally watch my Instagram space and my Facebook. But something very exciting is on the wind. And you are a legend, love. You really are.
Awesome, Genevieve. I'm excited. You know, I'm always going to support and promote for you.
Thank
All
you.
right. So this is the first debut episode with Bipolar Jameson and Genevieve.
Hey!
Co-hosting on Apologetically. So thanks for viewing the Power Hour. Peace out, y'all, and have a wonderful, 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 beautifully unapologetic day. Thank you.
See you guys.
Peace.